Welcome to the Easy Peasy Life Podcast. I'm your host, Poppy Lee, and this is the space for midlife women who are tired of feeling overwhelmed and ready for life to feel lighter, calmer, and more joyful again. Each week, we'll talk about simple habits, mindset resets, and easy tools that help you feel more in control, one small step at a time. If you're ready for peace, clarity, and your comeback season, you're in the right place. Let's make life, well, easy peasy.
Good morning, guys. Happy Throwback Thursday. Welcome back to the Easy Peasy Life Podcast. I'm hashtag Poppy Lee, and I'm super excited to have you on here today. Welcome. Whether you're listening today, driving, walking, cleaning, sitting with your coffee, whatever you're doing, I want to treat you to this episode like this. So take a long breath out. Take a long breath in. Take a long breath out. No pressure, no fixing, just the truth. Today, I am hashtag Poppy Lee, like I said, and I am from a little town called Dripping Springs outside of West Austin. If you continue west, you're going to hit Johnson City. And if you continue west further, you're going to hit Fredericksburg, Texas, the home of over 200 wineries and breweries in the local area. And if you're a fellow wine drinker like I am, cheers to wine and cheers to good coffee. Welcome, guys. I'm so excited to have you on here today. Welcome to episode 19. Episode 19 is titled, The Day You Trust Yourself is the Day Everything Changes. And before we go any further, I want to invite you into something. So stay with me until the end of the episode because I'm going to walk you through the exact moment confidence in your life actually locks in. And it's probably not where you think it happens. So before we settle in, let me ground you the same way that I always do. So my motto of the day is each day you have a choice whether to be happy or sad. It's up to you to find the positivity in life. And I hope that I inspire you every single day to do that when you start off your day. If you know someone who could benefit from listening, please share this podcast so you can brighten up their day as well. So welcome. Why this conversation and this podcast matters is always by my mission statement. So my mission statement is I will empower women in their midlife to recognize their inner and outer beauty, fostering personal growth and self-confidence every single day of their life. So welcome. I feel like I need to take a lot of breaths. And the reason why I want to expand this conversation today to you guys and you girls is because confidence doesn't truly form without self-trust. You can look confident on the outside, sound confident, post confident quotes, but if you don't trust yourself, confidence collapses under pressure. And so most women don't lack confidence because they're incapable. They lack confidence because they don't believe they're allowed to choose themselves. And that happens so many times in our life where we've chosen so many people in the past and we haven't chosen ourselves. So if you don't choose yourself, which you are today, and I'm going to give you a pat on the back for that, for yourself today. But if you don't normally do that, if you don't trust yourself, for some reason, you lack in the self-confidence area of your life. So let's talk about what self-trust actually is, and then also what it isn't. Let's clear something up for you guys. Self-trust does not mean always knowing the right answer. So just because you trust yourself and you have self-confidence, that doesn't mean you have self-confidence or trust because you always know what to say and what to do. It also doesn't mean never doubting yourself. Sometimes you doubt yourself and that's okay. And that doesn't mean you have no self-trust. It also doesn't mean never changing your mind or being fearless. So you can have self-trust and you could still change your mind and you could still be fearless at the same time. Self-trust, let me tell you what it means. It means listening to yourself even when it's uncomfortable. So listening to your inner guidance, listening to your intuition, listening to your gut. And how many times, raise your hand in the comments, how many times has your body told you something in the past and you ignored it and you're like, I should have listened to my gut? Say hell yes in the comments. Where you should have just been, oh my gosh, I should have listened to my gut. My gut was telling me not to do that. Okay, so self-trust means you're going to follow that intuition and you're going to follow that self-trust. It also means backing your decisions without over-explaining yourself. And we talked about this in the other, you need to trust yourself. And self-confidence and self-trust means that you're going to back your decisions without having to explain yourself. Like you don't have to question everything that you're doing. It also means adjusting without shaming yourself. So you don't preface things with saying, I don't know why I feel this way, but I like we should do this. Like, don't justify yourself before you even say what you mean. Trust yourself. And when you have self-trust, you don't explain yourself before you make those decisions. You just do them because you trust yourself. Staying loyal to yourself under pressure. So make sure that whenever you're under pressure and you make certain decisions, you stick by them because you trust yourself and you have that self-confidence. Like, this is what I mean and this is what I'm going to do. And you don't justify it. You don't pre-justify it and you don't justify it after you make, and you stay loyal to yourself and you believe in yourself that you've made the right choice. And that's where intuition and that's where your gut feeling comes in. And that's why you have to feel those feelings of trust and feel those feelings of your gut feeling before you make those decisions. That makes your self-trust and your confidence even stronger. So I told you about that book, How to Be a Badass by Sincero. And Sincero says, and she backs this up 100%. She says it beautifully in You Are a Badass. She says, trust yourself. You know more than you think you do. So sometimes we let self-doubt take over without allowing ourselves first to trust ourselves in the decisions that we make. So she says, trust yourself. You know more than you think you do, and you need to give yourself credit for that. That sentence alone dismantles years of second guessing. So how lack of self-trust shows up in real life? Let's give you a couple of examples. Let's talk about what this looks like on a day-to-day basis for you. It looks like asking everyone else's opinion before making your decision. If you don't have trust in yourself, this is what you normally do. So you don't need to, but sometimes you ask everybody else's opinion before you make a decision because you don't trust yourself that you're making the right one. Abandoning your instincts to avoid being judged. Raise your hand in the comments if you feel sometimes that you want to do something, but you don't do it because you're worried about what other people are going to think of you. I've been there. I understand. It looks like replaying conversations in your head over and over again. Did I make that right decision? Did I say the right thing? What if I hurt the person's feelings? Maybe I shouldn't have said that. So you're constantly playing that in your mind over and over again without just letting it go and trusting yourself. Over preparing so you won't be criticized. So practicing and practicing, you're like, if I say it this way, if I practice enough, then all of a sudden, you're not going to have to worry about being criticized. So that's what it looks like too, lacking self-trust. Staying in situations that don't feel right because you don't trust yourself to leave. Ooh, that's a big one. So you stay in situations in your life, even though they don't feel right, because you don't trust yourself enough to be able to leave. You don't have enough confidence in yourself to be able to leave that relationship or situation. Situation could be a family situation, an argument or disagreement that you had with a family member. It could be a relationship that you're struggling right now, whether it be a boyfriend, girlfriend, sister, brother, mother, just a situation with a friend. You don't trust yourself to leave the situation or to say, you know what, I'm done with this relationship. I don't want to do it anymore. You don't trust yourself. I've done this. I still catch myself doing this sometimes, or actually feeling confident enough to where you're like, I don't agree with you. So let's just agree to disagree, because you're worried about the turmoil or you're worried about the disappointment that you're going to have in yourself later for saying things you don't mean. And that's true. Like I that too. So I understand, like, sometimes you say things you don't mean and then later on you regret it. So that weighs in on your self-trust because you're worried because it's happened in the past. And how many of y'all actually beat yourself up for things you've done in the past instead of learning from them and pushing forward and be like, you know what? I made a mistake. I'm going to learn from it, because I do believe God puts us in situations in our life to where you learn from them. But if you still dwell on the past, you're going to be depressed. If you dwell on the future, you're going to be anxious. If you live in the present, you're going to live in the present. And in order for you to live in the present, you have to forgive yourself for things you've done in the past. And that includes saying things the wrong way And that's okay. That should not hinder you to trust yourself for things that you do now or even things that you do in the future. You know, you shouldn't feel that way about yourself. And that's part of you, especially in midlife, that's part of you becoming wiser and becoming experienced. Good morning, Marisa. Things you've done in the past, you can be depressed about. But I do believe that things happen to affect your self-trust so you can learn from them, not beat yourself up from them. And certainly not to worry about what other people think of you, right? God definitely, and I didn't know this in the past, so I was like, a lot of times in the past we say, raise your hand in the comments if you feel this way, like God is, you're like, why did you put me through that, God? Like, why did you put me through that? And that affects your self-trust in the things that you do, and that also affects your self-confidence. But if you do things that in the past and you're still beating yourself up for that, think to yourself now, think more wisely, more based on experience. But most importantly, remember, God puts you through things in your life for two reasons. One, so you can learn from them and become a better version of yourself because of them. And so you can learn from doing those things wrong. And secondly, so you can be experienced enough to teach other people what to do and what not to do in their life. That includes your kids, that includes your siblings, that includes friends of yours. Like a lot of times people go to you and say, you know, you went through this without rehashing what you went through. How did you handle that situation? And then at that point, in that moment in your life, you're like, okay, God, I hear you. Like, I know why you put me through that, because I'm not only strengthening myself and my self-trust and my confidence, but I'm also strengthening that in another person, because I went through that first. And although I went through all that frustration and anger and sadness and everything, I'm going to help somebody else avoid that in their life. And I know why. Because how many times in your life you tell your kids, you're like, I went through that, trust me. And I've been through I've talked to Rick about this recently, but we can tell our kids things till they're blue in the face, and even our friends and even some of our family members and some of our friends' kids. I told Rick the other day, I was like, you know, babe, because a friend of ours is having a situational problem with their child, adult child. And so we've told them over and over again, we went through the same thing when our kids were younger, and this is what we did. And so rightfully so, they sat in our living room the other day and they were like, what do we do? What do we do? And I said, you know what? This is what I did when I went through this with my friend or my sister or my brother or my siblings and stuff, or my children. This is what I went through and this is what I did. And they literally sat in the living room, and Rick and I were both, yes, this is what happened. And literally they were like, is that what I should do? Should I give them tough love? And I was like, as much as it kills you and it kills me to do that, you have to give them tough love. You have to. But Rick, had enough self-trust and had enough self-confidence because of our experience in our life that we didn't say, I didn't even question, maybe I shouldn't say that. Like, I don't have enough self-confidence, or I didn't have enough self-trust to be able to say that to the other person, to give them advice. But I wasn't like that. Why? Because God put me through the same circumstance in my life, very, very circumstance in my life, to where I had enough self-trust and I had enough self-confidence. And without hesitation, I said, you know what? This is what I did. And this is what we did. Will it turn out and work out the same way with your child or whoever you're dealing with? I don't know. But I can only tell you from experience what I did and what we did. I live by everything happens for a reason. Trust God has a plan. Amen, Marisa. Amen. And you know what? But you didn't think that way when you were in your 20s, right? You didn't think that way probably when you were in your early 30s. But let me tell you, you and I are the same age, so we think very differently now, and we have so much trust in ourselves based on our past experiences that God has put us through, that we can have confidence in our decisions now. So for those of you who are self-doubting, not trusting yourself, look back and see what you've been through and the decisions that you made. And now, what you go through now, it's easier for you to help other people. Tough love will sometimes, if not have a bigger impact. It will. And I agree with that. Because when you don't hold other people that depend on you accountable, they're never going to learn. And this is what the other thing that I was going to tell you is that how many times do you tell people things and you yourself, like how many times when you were growing up or in your 20s or even early 30s or whatever, I don't know, early 30s, in your 30s, for God's sakes, people told you things like this is going to happen. Like your parents said, this is going to happen or this is going to happen. And you're like, I know, but I'm going to do it a different way. Or I'm not doing it the same way. Or this is a different circumstance. And lo and behold, the same shit happened. But we ourselves only learn from feeling the situation ourselves. We have to do it in order to learn the consequences and the lesson behind it, right? And the same thing with our kids. And at least I know now, I don't hold things against them. I don't hold it because I know what it took for me to learn the lessons. And I told Rick the other day, I was like, you know what, babe? I said, sometimes our kids have to go through the feelings of regret and anger and frustration and all that. They have to feel it within them to be able to learn the lesson on the other side. And so, because I will tell you, when my don't have kids, but I will tell you, the reason why that is they have to tell their kids what we told them. And they have to learn, hey, and it's all a cycle, right? The cycle of life and the cycle of loving and trusting and having self-confidence and learning self-trust. It's all in a wheel. Our parents told us things. We didn't necessarily listen. We had to live it on ourselves, and we lived and learned, and we were like, ouch. But we did it because we wanted the meaning after it. And the other thing is so we can tell our kids the same thing. But sometimes we tell our kids those things and our kids don't listen, and they have to go through the situation themselves so they can earn self-trust and self-confidence. But then in turn, they can turn around and have grace and understanding for their kids when it happens. Because my kids are going to tell their kids things and their kids are not going to listen. And they're going to have to feel it on their own to be able to learn and find out the lesson on the other side.
If you're ready for simple ChatGPT prompts that make life easier, grab my free guide at easypeasyprompts.com/busywomansguide. It only takes a minute, and it's made for busy women who want quick wins and less overwhelm.
Okay, let's talk about the moment that confidence breaks you. And I probably just said it, spilled it all in one. I probably already told you. Marisa says it's the circle of life. Some things will be a rite of passage. We as parents can only try to protect them by giving them warnings and advice. I know that is true. And I like what you said. We can only try to protect them. But how many times did our parents try to protect us and tell us, don't do that, it's not the right decision, or I'm warning you, I already did that myself. And sometimes we didn't listen, because we have to feel the frustration and the anger and the sadness and everything that comes with it in order for us to truly learn the value of the lesson. So the moment confidence breaks, here's something most people don't tell you. Confidence doesn't usually break during big moments. It breaks in small, repeated ones. Every time you ignore your intuition, say yes when you mean no, stay quiet to keep the peace, talk yourself out of what you feel, you teach yourself not to trust you. And confidence quietly erodes little by little by little. So Jen Sincero in How to Be a Badass, she talks about this when she explains how we train ourselves to doubt our power by prioritizing comfort over truth. Confidence is built after the decision, right? And that happens a lot of times, kind of what we've been talking about. Here's a reframe that changed everything for me, okay? We think confidence comes before action. Like we build up the confidence enough to do something, right? We practice. So we train for a field event if you're in track. So you train, you make the decision to race, and then all of a sudden you win. So we think confidence comes before action. It doesn't. Confidence comes after you move, especially when you are unsure. You do what you have to do, and then you have the confidence to do it because you've already done it. Jen explains this perfectly when she talks about fear. Fear doesn't disappear before you act. It quiets after you prove to yourself that you can handle what happens next. So you do something, and then you're like, ooh, I have that confidence now. And then you're able to do the next thing, and ooh, that feels good. I did that, yes. And then you move on to the next thing. Confidence grows when you show up for yourself, even when your voice shakes. So when I first started on this podcast, and I'm like, blah, blah, but then I did the podcast, and I'm like, ooh, that wasn't so bad. Not to mention, all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, I can do that. It didn't happen when I was training by myself behind the scenes, when I didn't have you guys on the video. My confidence didn't build when I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to say all this or whatever, and nobody's watching. And that's a good point. Your confidence doesn't build when nobody's watching. Just because you're watching and you do it right, that's not when you build self-confidence and self-trust. Confidence grows when you show up for yourself, even when your voice shakes and you're nervous and you're in front of a whole bunch of people, right? The role of fear and why it doesn't mean stop. So this is the role of fear and why it doesn't mean, hey, I'm going to stop when I'm scared. Fear doesn't mean you're wrong. Fear often means you're expanding, you're choosing yourself, you're breaking an old pattern, you're stepping into unfamiliar territory, right? Jen said something, she says something that sticks with me. She says a lot of stuff that sticks with me, but this is one thing. Fear is not the enemy. It's a sign you're on the edge of something important. So if something scares you, that's good. Hey, JR. JR says, the thing is most people don't like to hear their own truths. Hence why people get defensive or have self-doubt. I will call you out because I'm comfortable with my own truths and flaws. Am I perfect? I'm guessing you're probably saying no. I can't see your thing. Am I perfect? Probably not, right? Confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's trusting yourself through it. Let's say that together. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's trusting yourself through it. Let's say one more time. Maybe it'll really hit it home. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's trusting yourself through it. Why self-trust feels hard for women and probably men. So let's be honest. Many women were taught to be agreeable. Say yes in the comments if that's true. They were taught to be agreeable, to be accommodating, to be liked, to not rock the boat. My gosh. I don't know how many times in the past that I would be talking to my mom and I would be like, I've got it. No, that's not okay. It's not all right. That's not okay. And actually, it wasn't my mom. She was my biggest cheerleader, my biggest supporter. It wasn't my siblings. But they were like, okay, Poppy, don't say anything. So we would all go together somewhere, and they're telling me, I'm the big loudmouth man. I'm the one that's going to be like self-confidence is not something I lack. I will say that. But I didn't get this way overnight. Like y'all, the ones who know me, and most of you on this podcast watching this, you know me. I'm the first one to be like, hey, I'm the quiet one in the back, but I'm the first one to stick up and be like, hey, this is bullshit. Like, I'm not gonna, like, this is not okay. Like, I'm the first one and I'm the first one to rock the boat for some reason. But my intentions are good. And I usually will stick up for you till the day I die. My friends, my diehard friends, I will stick up to you. And I will be the first one to say, that's not going to happen on my watch. You think I'm quiet and stuff like that too? And I didn't build this self-confidence and self-trust overnight, man. It took a while. But it took me going through a whole lot of crap to say I wasn't going to put up with that crap anymore. Self-confidence and self-trust is built by the difficult situations you face when you were younger. And I'm not going to lie. Like, I built up enough crap in my life to where I was like, nobody's going to take advantage of me anymore. I'm not going to put up with this crap anymore. In fact, I will stick up for those people who are going through the same crap that I went through. And I'm like, nope, not on my watch anymore. Yep, men are like that too. But I learned not to be and speak up. I don't tolerate BS. I don't either, JR. I really don't. Like, I will be the nicest person. And those of y'all who know me, especially Marisa and even JR, I am the nicest person. But don't rub me the wrong way, because I will bat for you. Like, my friends, my family, my loved ones, my guys, like, I'm going to stick up for you. And I will tell you like it is. Like, if you're going through something and you shouldn't be, for my friends, for my kids, it's different. And y'all can agree. Y'all can agree. For kids, it's different. But for my friends and stuff, I will tell you, you shouldn't be putting up with that. Don't put up with that. Don't put up with it. But then again, we come back to the same thing. The reason why I'm so strong-willed now is because of the things that I've been through when I was before, like the past. And so how do you tell someone she will could? That's true. I probably will. But I'm a super nice person too. So you got to catch me when I'm good and when I'm bad. But I will tell you, it's like, but even with my friends, I'll be like, hey, I've been through that. Don't put yourself through that. Hell no. But then does she or he have to put themselves through that so they can build the self-confidence and self-trust like I did? So am I saving them or am I hindering them? And you have to ask yourself that too. Are you saving your friends and family? And see, through wisdom and knowledge, at 54 years old like I am now, you struggle, right? And I don't struggle with my self-trust and my self-confidence that I should tell them. The only thing I struggle with is should I tell them so they not do it, or I not tell them so they can go through that and learn what I learned along the way. What do y'all think? Drop in the comments. Do you think you should tell them to not do that? So is God putting me, okay, so now I'm like all over the place. Did God put me through the situation so I can help other people not have to go through that situation? Or am I not supposed to tell them things so they can go through this situation, so they can build the self-confidence and wisdom and experience that I have to be a strong, resilient person? I'm curious so y'all know what I mean? I'm curious, like I just did 180 or whatever, 360. Because I'm like, So now I'm not questioning myself, I'm just questioning him. I'm curious to see what y'all think about that. What do y'all think about that? Either send me a private message or drop it in the comments what y'all think about that. Like, should you save somebody because of things you went through, or let them go through that so they can be resilient on the other side? I don't know. So trusting yourself can feel selfish, risky, or wrong. But here's the truth. Self-trust is not selfish. It's self-respect. And self-respect changes how you move through the world. So here's self-trust in business, where it really gets tested. And this is how I also help people out. This becomes especially clear in business, especially direct sales. Like if you're selling something, like I mentioned, like jewelry, like Marisa, or you're selling decorative concrete, or you're selling sourdough bread, which seems to be the latest craze. And it's amazing because I absolutely love sourdough bread. So self-trust erodes when you're constantly guessing. Sometimes I like sourdough bread a little bit too much. So what do I post? What do I say? How do I follow up? And how do I explain my products? And we do that anyway, because we do that, like I've had it's like a writer's block, but it's like a posting block. We call it poster's block, whatever, because you're not sure what to post. I'm like, dang man, I'm not sure what to post today. That constant uncertainty trains you to doubt yourself. Then tell them, but they will not listen and still go through it. It's called learning and growing. That's true. That's absolutely true. I do agree. So one thing that I was able to learn on my own as I become an adult, and as I learn through experience and going through different companies that I've marketed and stuff like that too, is I've learned that there needs to be something in place. So that's one thing I have had self-doubt with in the past, is I went through different direct sales companies, jumping from one company, and y'all know that, some of y'all don't. But the reason is I didn't have enough confidence in myself, and it wasn't just that. I did. I didn't have a system in place, or I didn't have something that I could look to and be like, okay, because all in all, like, we could walk everywhere, right? We could walk to the store, we could take us forever. But instead, we take a tool called a vehicle and we use that so we can do things a lot faster, more efficient, right? And that's what we have to do. We use tools to do things, yes, easier, but also more efficient. And so in doing this and being in different companies, stuff like that, I realized there's got to be an easier way of doing this. I can't think of posting everything on my own. I don't want to sound salesy to people. I want to really hit home people that need things, but I don't want to sound salesy. I don't want to sound, but I also want to tell them about my life and let them know and trust me, right? And so I created something called the easypeasyprompts.com/AI support. Okay. And if you go on that website, you can look through certain situations. I will actually be doing a live training on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I will show you what it's all about. Because even the other day, I was talking to somebody and I was like, have you heard of ChatGPT or have you used it? And she was young. And she was like, I kind of heard a little bit about it, but I haven't used it. And I'm like, what? Are you freaking kidding me? I think some people are nervous because they're scared of it, because they're scared of the government and everybody's looking or whatever, but it only knows what you tell it. So it's not like that. They can't get your social security number or anything like that. But I will tell you, it's one of the tools that has changed the whole course of my life. And I'm not kidding. So if you go to easypeasyprompts.com/AI support, just support without the S, and you join my live video on Saturday, there's no obligation. It's going to be a Zoom video. Just wait for my post that I put on my Facebook. I'm going to put it on my Easy Peasy Prompts Facebook page and on my personal page, so you can join free. And I'll tell you a little bit about the reason why I came up with this. But this is a tool, just like a vehicle, just like you don't walk everywhere or drive a car, because it's more efficient and it's easier. And the same thing with this. This is a tool, and these are tools that allow you to make your life so much easier. Not to replace your voice, but to support it. Inside, you're going to find guidance that helps you create content, follow up with confidence, and explain products without any pressure and being compliant. Confidence grows when decisions feel supported, not guessed. And Jen, this book, if y'all haven't read this book, you need to read this book. You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. She has several books, and I've read all of them. They are amazing. Amazing, amazing. Okay, so Jen reminds us you don't get extra points for struggling, which is true, right? Hi, Aneda. You don't get extra points for struggling. Support strengthens self-trust. So just because you struggle when there's an easier way, you don't get extra points for that. Just because you walked all the way to the store, and it would take me probably 3 hours to walk to the store, I don't get extra points. What's going to happen is people are going to say, why didn't you just drive when you have a car? Because I can walk, and I wanted to walk, and I wanted to exercise. They're like, sometimes they're going to be like, you're crazy. If there's an easier way, why don't you take it? And that's what I did when I was like, there's an easier way. I can create a system for people to know how to post, whether you're posting on just real life content or whether you're posting for a business you have. It doesn't matter. This helps everybody. So the moment everything shifts, here's a moment confidence actually locks in. It's not when you get validation. It's not when somebody agrees with you that you develop this unbelievable amount of self-confidence. It's not when everything works out perfectly and you're like, yes, this is what I was supposed to do. I have confidence now. No. It's when you say, even if this doesn't go the way I thought or I hoped, I trust myself to handle it. That's what self-confidence is. That's what self-trust is. Even though you're like, I'm going to make this decision, even though it doesn't work out, I'm going to be able to handle it. That's what self-trust is. That's it. That's the shift. When you stop asking, what if I fail? What if I back myself? What if? You start asking yourself. So here's practicing self-trust daily. It's small, but it's something powerful you've got to do. Self-trust isn't built in one big moment, like, boof, I have the self-confidence of the world because I made this decision or because I went through this. It's little increments, like I said before. It's built when you honor your first instinct, when you stop explaining yourself to other people, when you follow through on small, little, minute promises. Your word is everything. When you listen when something feels off, when your instinct or your gut or your intuition tells you something and you listen to it and you trust yourself. When you choose alignment over approval, like this doesn't feel right, this doesn't feel balanced. Even though I don't need approval for this, I want to feel balanced. These moments add up, and when the moments add up, your confidence compounds little by little. Ooh, this was a good one, y'all. This was a good podcast. Ooh, and usually the ones that I'm like concerned about are the ones that are like knock it out of the park. So I want to leave you with this. You don't need more confidence. You need more loyalty to yourself. Confidence isn't loud. It's steady over the course of small actions. It's the quiet knowing that even if it feels uncertain to you, you can trust the woman or man making the decision. Thank you truly for being here, and thank you for choosing you, and I love you. Thank you for joining me on episode 19 of the Easy Peasy Life Podcast. I love you and I appreciate you, and I hope this episode helped you trust yourself just a little bit more than it did yesterday. If this spoke to you, please share it, and share it to a woman or man who's learning to back herself, even when it feels scary. I love you. Keep it easy peasy. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Easy Peasy Life Podcast. If today's episode encouraged you, make sure to follow and subscribe so you never miss one. Don't forget to grab your free guide at easypeasyprompts.com/busywomen's-guide. It's perfect for busy women who want life to feel easier. And join me live every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'll see you on the next episode. Let's go.